Well, I'm Alan Dale from Gale Force Winds, and I'm having a wonderful day talking to the folks in and around the Newfoundland and Labrador Construction Safety Association. I want to tell you, big conversations, important conversations, and they understand the importance of bringing everybody in to the conversation because there's a lot of moving parts to safety in Newfoundland and Labrador. But these folks, they've got their eye on it, and they're keeping a good sort of track on the way things are going, and the trajectory is good. Things are moving in the right direction. I'm getting to know these folks one by one, and I'm enjoying it. And on that note, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi there. I'm Dennis Hogan, former CEO, in fact, founding CEO of the Construction Safety Association. And these days, I'm the Chief Executive Officer of St. John's International Airport Authority.
Before we get into the airport, Dennis, let me take you back to those days when you were the founding CEO. What was it like? What were the challenges? What were the conversations?
Well, I've been reflecting on that, knowing we'd be talking about the startup of the NLCSA all those years ago. And I was appointed in 1997 as again, the inaugural CEO for the organization. And at that point in time, there was a lot of excitement about the possibility, what the association could actually do in terms of preventing workplace accidents and injuries and illness. And the whole initiative really came out of work that was done by the construction industry as a group. It was called the Industrial Service Adjustment Committee, and they had some funding to do a study, and one of the major issues, one of the major challenges for the construction industry at the time was related to the high cost of workplace injuries. So that really was the impetus for the creation of the NLCSA. And there were other construction safety associations in the country. So the Newfoundland and Labrador Association was modeled after the one in Nova Scotia that had been formed several years previous, which in turn was modeled after the Alberta Construction Safety Association. So at that point in time, there was great enthusiasm to really tackle the issue of the high cost of workplace injuries in construction.
Fast forward to today, you're on the outside now looking in. What has the impact that NLCSA has made over all of these years?
Well, I had the great fortune and privilege really of being there in the startup phase. So that was really all about getting the buy-in from the multitude of stakeholders and the sectors that comprise the overall construction industry, both union and employer. And it was those groups coming together, whether it was heavy civil road building, commercial construction, home building, landscape architects were part of the organization, as were many other subsectors. And at that point in time, it was about educating the industry and people who worked in the industry of the importance of getting proper and appropriate health and safety programming in place. And really, it was about changing the culture. So I think we were at the front end of that when the rate of workplace incidents and injury in the sector was quite high. And toward the end of my tenure, it was just starting to come down. But I think the work that the organization did, the team of people who devote their careers to really keeping this place going for the benefit of the construction industry, they were able to take what we did in those very humble beginnings and really create something that's very special for the industry. And what I've seen as someone who's been involved in other sectors since, and in fact, I also did a stint as Chief Executive Officer of Workplace NL, so I kind of was reunited with all my colleagues and friends from the NLCSA during that 6-year period. And it was just astonishing to see the positive impact that the association has had over all of those years, going back 28 years ago now. And it's something that I look back on very fondly, and I think it was perhaps the defining experience of my career, and to be part of that in the early days and knowing that legacy just kept growing and growing over time. I think the association, its directors, its employees really, and the industry itself are to be commended for the buy-in that they had, for the promise of really making a difference to people and to companies in the industry. And that's been borne out over all these years later.
It must be a pleasure for you to watch where they are now. I mean, sophisticated research projects going on with Memorial University, razor focused on mental health. I mean, they're basically now fine tuning the engine, and such a vision for continuous improvement, never being satisfied with the status quo, to come from that sort of, that humble beginnings as you describe it to now, it's got to be amazing to watch.
It truly is, Alan, and looking back, I see the principles that we were founded upon really come to play over all the years that the association has been active. And you're right, to see where things have come in that period of time, again, for the benefit of the people who work in that industry and the employers who employ workers in construction, to see that materialize, see the costs come down, and also that continuous improvement that is continuously tweaking and improving what's been, I think, a pretty solid set of programming and training for these years now. It's just become the standard in the industry, and it's just so fulfilling to see that again all these years later.
And staying on the sort of the concept of continually improving. St. John's Airport, I mean, it's something. It's these days it's an incredible airport. It stands as one of the top airports in Canada for sure, if not globally, for the size of our province. It is always improving, and you're always bringing new people in and new construction happening. Talk to me now about your intersection with NLCSA now as you run the airport.
Well, first off, I should really acknowledge that my experience at the NLCSA was such a fulfilling career experience, and that really helped open the door to some future opportunities I've had, including the role I have now at YYT. And we are committed to health and safety, not only from an employee perspective, of course, but we have lots of members of the public, passengers. There's airside safety related to the aviation sector and the movement of aircraft, which was a bit of a learning curve for me. But I think the fundamentals that I learned all those years ago with my involvement with the NLCSA really helped prepare me for the challenges that I face and our team faces when it comes to ensuring the health, safety, and well-being of the airport. And we, of course, are big supporters of the Certificate of Recognition program. We ensure that all our major contractors are core certified, they're in good standing. And because I understand the background of how all that happened, it really allows us to dig deep with our contractors that we employ and our staff as well, because we are a highly operational environment. We have lots of infrastructure projects that we're currently developing and many more to come into the future. And health and safety is front and center, of course, with everything we do.
You would have been a big part of building the team in the early days. Many of the team are still here. They have a passion for what they do. Talk to me about this team here, and because this team is so tight, the value that it provides the members.
Yeah. I really can't say enough about my personal experience with everyone I worked with and those I've kept in touch with over the years since my tenure with the NLCSA. And you're right, I think the people that work for the Construction Safety Association here in Newfoundland and Labrador, it's much more than a job. It really is a passion and a calling even. And I think it's like that because you actually get to see the tangible results of all the work that everybody does to provide the right type of training and health and safety programming, which involves auditing and all kinds of other interventions to ensure that workers are well educated about not only their rights and responsibilities, but what employers are expected to bring to the workplace. And I do believe that sense of accomplishment and fulfillment when you know that these individuals who do the training or involved in safety programming offered by the NLCSA are going out to spread that throughout the industry and beyond. And I felt that myself when I was here. Of course, I'm very biased. I look back on that as really a pivotal moment for me, and I've carried that with me ever since.
Well, I want to tell you, it's been an absolute pleasure to be in conversation with you. You've held some key leadership roles in our province, and now you're holding yet another one. Thank you for what it is you do for Newfoundland and Labrador, and thank you for what you do for the safety of Newfoundland and Labradors and have done. We certainly appreciate it.
Great. Thanks very much, Alan.